Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the MN Viking Zombie movie review channel, among other things. But tonight, Adam and we're going to review Halloween Ends. What's up, Adam? How are you?
I'm doing okay, a little bit better. I do have water in my lungs, so be patient with me because I'll be coughing and talking a lot less. But I'm here to talk about this movie.
Sorry about that. Had a little technical difficulty on my side. Yeah, I heard that, man. We obviously know that from doing our football podcast together. But anybody out there, please wish Adam well and send some good vibes his way. Just glad you're feeling a little bit better, man. I know that's tough. And the winter's coming in where you're at. So
oh yeah, we got snow.
Get to look forward to that as well. But I'm excited, man. It's been a minute since we reviewed a movie. I think
a good time for horror movies right now and TV shows. Yeah, the Chucky show came back, which is nice. I like that show. We got Hellraiser that came out, and a little spoiler there, I did enjoy that one. As soon as I get off here, I'm watching Dash Cam on Hulu, which is supposed to be good. I've heard good things.
Nice. Yeah, you mentioned Hellraiser. So for anyone that tunes into this, I think we've both agreed we're going to do a review of that soon. So it's the middle of October, just a little bit past the middle. It's perfect time. And just for notoriety and name purposes, we couldn't not do Halloween Ends. I mean, it's a storied franchise. It's one of my favorites. I know our buddy Kyle on the football podcast, that's his favorite. And yeah, let's just dive right into it, man. This is supposedly the end, at least for Jamie Lee Curtis. We know she's getting up there in age, but they did the reboot in 2018. It was a direct sequel 40 years later. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. With any horror movie, most of them aren't perfect, and there are always things that we have to latch onto to critique, which there are some in that movie. But I liked it. I liked the direction that it went. I liked that her character in the movie was traumatized from the experience because I felt like it felt normal, and I think she did a great job depicting that.
She's always been a real good actress, though.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. There's not really anything negative you can say about Jamie Lee Curtis. And she's visited this movie in other places in different timelines, but I like that it showed her older and a little haggard and weathered and traumatized because, like I said, I feel like that's relatable.
But also trying to take control of her own life again.
Correct. And we see that a lot in this movie. We'll skip over the Halloween Kills stuff. We like these movies, but we didn't do all of them. And I feel like we both agreed on this. Like that one suffers from middle movie syndrome a lot. It was very violent. If you like the kills, there's a lot in that movie, but we didn't get to see a lot of Jamie Lee because she was going through an injury, and that's realistic. But
the first half of this movie felt a lot like it was focusing too much on dating.
Yeah, let's start it. If you guys are watching this, we are going to spoil it. We're going to go through the movie in its entirety and point out our favorite things we didn't like, things that were okay. There's a character introduced in this movie, and I honestly looked to the guy in the movie. I didn't know who he was after the first sequence until the credits start, or the movie card, title card. I keep messing that up. Sorry. I looked at him and was like, are we watching the same movie? There's a character introduced, and he is the main character. Don't get it twisted, even though I feel like the trailer for this movie kind of leads you on a little bit.
It does.
This is the main character of this movie. It's a character named Corey, and he is played by Rohan Campbell, and Adam and I both agreed.
The range on this character is great.
He
on
did
the
a
actor.
phenomenal job. One of my favorites about this movie is the acting. I feel like the character development in all of this movie was such a different dynamic than previous Halloween, even a lot of horror films in general. You know, you usually have the douchey, cocky guy, you know it's going to get killed. You have the virgin who may survive, but probably not. This doesn't fit any of that. These characters have depth, they have a background, and then you see progression, which I really enjoy. But the movie starts off with a tragedy. Corey is babysitting on a whim to help someone out and playing hide and seek with a very mischievous young kid who locks him in the attic, ends up kicking the door open because he's getting frightened and overwhelmed. And ultimately the kid falls to his death 3 stories down in their home as the parents walk in. Pretty much the worst scenario you could think of as a parent is to watch your kid die in front of you. And that's kind of where the movie takes its shape. No pun intended here. Is this character is based on evil that this town of Haddonfield, Illinois, that already was planted by Michael Myers and how it kind of takes over and sort of molds him into the outcast of the town.
Yeah, this movie is really interesting in the way it set up the main character with him being bullied despite being kind of an outcast. Normally you see the outcast get left alone in movies, and in these ones he's actually kind of harassed, and Jamie Lee Curtis's character sees him getting picked on outside of a gas station and slashes the kid's tires that were harassing him.
Yeah, you see, that's the cool part about these movies is sometimes you can see a twist that you didn't know that was coming later. I thought they would team up because he's been through a lot. She's been through a lot. Initially, I thought this was going to be a character that was going to help Jamie Lee, but ends up being one of her foes. And
kind of hand the baton,
yeah,
I don't know.
Sure.
Although this story is going to be over, I don't think the franchise is over by a long shot.
Right.
So, I mean, just to keep things going.
Yeah, and you also have Allison, which is a great character. I loved her development in this one too. Andy Matichak, gorgeous young actress. Loved her in the first two of this trilogy, but she also has had a lot of tragedy. Her mother and father were killed, and her boyfriend as well, all by Michael Myers. So it's affected her as much as it has affected Jamie Lee Curtis. Maybe she doesn't have the same number of events, and maybe Jamie has had more attacks and, a longer history, obviously, with the age gap. But make no mistake about it, Andy Matichak's character, Allison, has had tragedy due to Michael Myers. And that's the part where I'm kind of at a crossroads. But the more that I watch this film, the more I appreciate it. Is I didn't come to watch a love story, but when I set aside my bias for that, I can't appreciate the way this movie tells that story. And
I enjoyed watching those two interact. I did.
Yeah, Allison and Corey ended up crossing paths, and they kind of let go of any other stereotypes and any predetermined notions of the person in the town based on what the town has given them. And they just are attracted to each other. And, it's hard fought in the beginning because Corey says, hey, you don't want me. You don't want to try to fix me. And he tells her, he says, you don't want this. And he was right, which is one of the things I have a question about, and I don't know how you would feel about this. But, later on in the movie, he finds himself in Laurie Strode's home. They have a battle, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, we got to talk about that because I got to admit something here in a little bit.
But my question for you is, do you think, because he says, if I can't have Allison, nobody can, do you think amongst all the killing that we're going to talk about that Corey ends up doing here in the middle part of the film, do you think he really loved her and wouldn't harm her? Because I have questions about that.
See, I was kind of questioning a bit of that myself because I'll be honest. Corey there, he works at a junkyard, and he can weld and he can work on vehicles. And when those people that were picking on him were getting killed off in the junkyard, I'll admit, like, right after the fence kill was right about where I fell asleep for the first time.
Yep.
Now,
and that's pretty, for a spoiler for everyone, that's pretty far into the movie.
Now, at one point in this movie, that character gets pushed off an overpass and goes into a weird little culvert.
Yep.
Where the version of Michael Myers that we all kind of know, the masked version, was kind of pawing at him from the side. Now, what I don't know is, was he kind of passing some evil off to him and that homeless guy? Or
the way
Michael Myers still down there, or what is this?
So the way that I perceive this movie, and this is the big spoiler of how the character of the shape that is Michael Myers is different than any other film. Adam and I will tell you, anyone that's a fan of this franchise knows he's like almost indestructible. I mean, literally in the last film, he was gang beaten the shit out of by that town of Hannaford, stabbed, shot, bludgeoned, all this, and he comes back and goes on a murdering spree. I think it was the highlight of the film for me because if you like the violence and the uniqueness of the situation, I liked the idea of the town saying, well, we'll just kill him with numbers because he can't kill us all, right? Well, that's not true. That proved to be the opposite at the end. But the character of Michael Myers that you see in this movie is a sickly old man, which we just didn't.
But is it though? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
That's what I perceived it as, because the way that I perceived it was he had gotten away from the town because he was so beaten down.
Right.
Probably the worst is hiding out. And he's been there, they say, for 4 years. If the guy's out and breaks out of, a mental institution after 40 years of being locked up, he's going to try to kill as many people as possible. So if they say it's been 4 years since he attacked and they saw him last, my thing was he's got to be sick or dying or something like that. And it had just let me get through this, because this is really weird, but it has a weird connection because it reminded me. You remember how Freddy versus Jason, Freddy wasn't strong enough, so he was having a Jason kill for him because everybody thought it was him. It was so weird to have that kind of thing in this movie, because basically when Corey gets introduced, Michael pulls him in after he fell off the bridge in the scene you were talking about. He's going to kill him. But
is he though?
That's what I was assuming, right? I don't think there was a transfer, and this is my answer to your question. I don't think there was a transfer of evil. When I see him look into Corey's eyes, I think that he found the same kind of evil that was there. Obviously not on the same level, because Michael Myers is just...
the same kind of like pain and hurt?
He's seeing the pain, he's seeing the hurt, he's seeing the anger, because Corey has a lot of anger that he holds back. And I think Michael Myers sees the same kind of energy in his eyes, and I think that's why he let him go. And yeah, I can't think of any other reason than he was...
And on the way out, he stabs the homeless guy in the gut.
Correct.
Now, when we get the reveal of at the end of the movie, we'll just jump around this because there's really only a couple scenes worth talking about in this movie.
Yeah.
When the fight is happening between Jamie Lee Curtis's character and the Michael Myers character, and the mask comes off and it's that homeless guy that was stabbed. I mean, are we supposed to believe that was Michael Myers?
The homeless guy that was stabbed. I'm not following.
Okay, so when the guy gets pushed off the overpass and he goes into the culvert, and
Corey.
And Corey comes out and it's the homeless guy, and Corey stabs him in the gut.
Yep.
Are we to assume that homeless guy is Michael Myers?
No, I never got that. He was,
because that's who was on the table in the kitchen that she was fighting with.
No, it wasn't the same character. Because when the cop goes by, remember Corey lures the cop in. That was the same, like the day after. But he takes the mask off of Michael, and Michael has to come back for his mask at Jamie Lee's house. I never thought that was the homeless guy. That's your town. I hate to say this because it sounds terrible, but it's your town hobo. He knew he was in there too, because he kept looking, and I kept seeing the guy look like he knows to keep his distance. And he even asked him, he goes, "Why did he let you live?" And I was like, that is really weird. This guy, like Michael, must have been hiding there for like 4 years, which is just odd to me. Kind of like hanging out like a sick dog. Because I'm like, well, if he's supernatural, I mean, that shouldn't affect him. But they showed an element of age. Like, this is eventually going to catch up with him. And you can see in the very first Halloween, they show the back shot of Michael at the mental institution. You can see he's got no hair. Whatever hair he has left is white. You can kind of see James Jude Courtney's face. He's got a little bit of facial hair. But
no, I'm not sure that was even Michael Myers on that table.
Think so?
I don't think so.
Huh? I never thought of that. I didn't put those. I didn't think that was a connection.
I'd have to go back and rewatch.
I think that was the first kill that Corey had outside of the accident, of course, where he runs into Michael. He feels like, oh my goodness, I got spared of this. And he can feel the evil festering. And this was like the first opportunity, because I remember the homeless man asking him, saying, "Well, go back in there and get the mask for me." I'm like, I'm not going to be your Aaron. I'm not going back in there. Are you crazy? And it was just kind of the first thing. And he also, he pulled a knife on him as well. He's kind of went into self-defense mode. But you could tell in that moment when he killed the homeless guy that he enjoyed it. Like, he knew he was going to do it again. And I think that was one of my favorite parts of the movie, was he realized that what he did was wrong. And he immediately went to find Allison to make amends and to tell her.
See, I'm not even 100% sure he killed the homeless guy.
Oh, you think so? Huh. I mean, you're going to make me watch this for a third time.
I think he dropped him. But I don't know if he killed him.
I just remember seeing the stab wound, and then he's just out. And it was really weird too, because like we said many times for any guys that watch this later, is if you're wanting Michael Myers in this movie, you're not going to get him until at least halfway through, which is insane based on the trailer. But they do like a tag team kind of deal where Corey will bring him a victim to start in the sewer, which was Allison's old boyfriend, the police officer, which was kind of cool. I mean, I can appreciate that, getting to see Michael just have a rage kill. But
I slept through that.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. And then they go after Allison's counterpart, one of the nurses. She's sleeping with a doctor because Allison is a nurse in this movie. And they go to the doctor's house. And you see Corey really start to do the stalking thing. And I'm not really sure why, if there's like a super connection I missed in the movie.
Yeah, when did that switch come for Corey?
I swear it has to be when he stabbed.
Why?
It had to be when he stabbed the homeless guy, because I saw him go. He knew it was wrong, and he had to find Allison to tell her. But that was it. He's just like, well, if I confess to it, I'm okay. I got it off my chest because I want to know if you're going to follow me. Of course, he's not telling her any of this stuff. But it was weird, man. It was his character is so good because this is what psychopathic behavior is. He can go from seeing his girlfriend to literally, I'm blowing off plans because I'm going to go murder people tonight, and then I'll see her tomorrow. And that's why I asked the question earlier. I was like, I wonder if he would have spared Allison her life. They slept together. I mean, they were close, and
sure were.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. But one of the trailer kills was pretty cool. Like I said, Corey goes to the doctor's house that Allison works for, and his side piece, I guess you would call her. She's there. They both die. Corey kills the doctor. Girl goes inside. He actually little what do they call those little nuggets that you can get from the movie? Little Easter eggs. The first 2018, the 40-year sequel, Michael loses his two fingers. Corey's got an injury to his hand from a glass cut, and the woman slams his hand shut. And I was like, are they going to cut his fingers off too? Like, so he'll be exactly like Michael? That would be crazy. It's a little thing that I saw, but Michael ends up killing the assistant, and he's back. I mean, this is out of the sewer. Michael's in his jumpsuit. He's got his mask on. And then you really wonder, before we get to the final two climaxes of the movie, are these two going to go around tag team killing people? And that's the thing that I couldn't really get into, because we've never really seen that before in this timeline. It's just been about the ominous building of the supernatural character, and like, he's still there, and now he's so weak that he's needing help. But we'll get to the last two because I want to talk about those kill scenes. Corey works at a junkyard, like you mentioned. I think that was his dad that he worked for, because you see him in the house later.
Yeah, that got him the motorcycle,
which was a really nice gesture. But he's hanging out, and the kids that have been picking on and tormenting Corey for this whole movie, they come back to get revenge, and they see his bike. They're going to drag it, and they said, take it to pieces, I think the main character said. And Corey goes on a rampage, kills all four of them, and his dad ends up getting shot along the way. And these are really brutal kills. I mean, he hits a girl with a tow truck. He smashes her face with a big stomp. He takes a acetylene torch and blows a kid's face off, like with heat, which is unreal. So there's good kills towards the end. But the thing that I didn't like about this movie, that really, I think probably the number one thing that set me off, was before this scene started, Corey goes into a rage and like pushes Michael around, which would immediately have him, like, Michael Myers would murder you if that happened. You offered yourself up to like square up against him. But he pushes him down and he steals his mask, which I couldn't believe that in any timeline, you know? I don't know. It looked better in the 2018 version when he was arrested and put in a mental institution. Like, hey, you know, we found something at the district attorney's office for you. Like, I wanted to show it to you. That's a piece of evidence, but you're not going to take it off of a lively Michael Myers face and just take it from him. I couldn't get into that. That's probably my biggest gripe with the movie, other than this like kind of love affair that happens. But let's get into the final scene. This is kind of crazy. You see Laurie Strode and Allison have a falling out over Corey. Laurie can figure out, like, there's something wrong with this kid. I see evil in him, like I saw in Michael. Of course, Allison's like, you say this every time. You're still crazy. I don't think so. Allison takes off. And then you see Laurie loading a gun, calling the police department, reporting a suicide at her address. And you think in your mind, you're like, I know this isn't going to happen, but for the off chance that it does, this can't be how Laurie Strode goes out. She's a fighter. And you see what looks to be like Michael Myers entering the home for one last showdown. Gun goes off, something splatters the wall, and you're like, oh, what? That wasn't brains. That didn't look like brains. Door opens all the way, and there's badass Laurie Strode. Did you really think I would kill myself? And she shoots Corey. It was a good start. I love the 90s like action movie punchline there.
Oh yeah.
With like the signature tagline. But she goes downstairs, and what I thought was a really cool moment that they shared before Corey ends up taking his own life, or tries to, and she empties the revolver out, and she goes, "You came here to kill me. Do it." She's like, "Prove to me that you're evil." And he won't do it. And it's the craziest part. That was the biggest twist for me, is Corey stabbed himself in the throat. And he's like, if I can't have Allison, nobody can. Threw me for a loop. I was like, well, I wasn't expecting that. And then boom, in walks in Allison, Laurie Strode with a bloody knife in her hand and her now dead boyfriend on the floor. I don't know, man. What did you think of that whole sequence? Like, did you enjoy it? Was it confusing? Like,
honestly, that was probably one of the better parts of the movie. Just because it did bring out some emotion. And to that point, there was kind of a lack of reason to get too into the movie. If you're a fan of the big series, A lot of people watch those movies just for the kills or the haunting, the stalking. And there wasn't a ton of that in this movie to satisfy people. And that might be a reason why it's getting so poor of grades on like Google Movies and Rotten Tomatoes and wherever, because this is getting panned by a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it's partially deserved. I don't think it deserves all the negativity that it gets. I think it took a lot of balls for this franchise to go in this direction, because I think they knew they were going to get some pushback on it. But like we said, and we'll say it again after this, but the trailer was very deceptive on what you thought the movie was going to be, because the main character is not even in the trailer, if I remember right, or not enough to where it's like, why did they show 10 seconds of this guy in a 2-minute clip? Like, you maybe it would give that prelude to that. But Allison walks in, there's a bloody knife in Laurie's hand, and she thinks that she killed her boyfriend, and she immediately walks out. She's going to leave the town forever. Her and Corey have been talking about that the whole time. They're like, we got to leave this place. It's like a cancer, we got to leave. Let's do it. Let's burn this place to the ground. And she gets to one of the scenes earlier was at a radio station. Corey had already lit that place on fire. He had already did some damage there, which you can watch in the movie yourself. But I think the craziest part was Michael got there right after this, and you could feel like, oh no. I could feel the emotion for Laurie Strode in this, where she just had to go through all this crazy up and down emotional roller coaster of her granddaughter losing her again, and the guy was trying to kill her, and he takes his own life, and then Michael's in the house, and it's probably, if you could think out loud in the comedic element, be like, Jesus, man, again, I got to deal with this guy. But Michael Myers comes in, and his mask is on the floor at the entrance, puts the mask on. Jamie Lee Curtis tries to tiptoe away. He hears it, and that's the final stalk of this movie. It ends in the kitchen of their home. She's hiding in like the pantry or something. They have a bit of a struggle, and you wonder, like, for a couple seconds, you're like, I think Michael's going to kill her. And Jamie Lee Curtis battles back, ends up stabbing both of Michael Myers' hands on pretty much their island, throws the fridge down on his legs, takes his mask off. And I think that was the theme. We didn't really say this at the beginning of the movie, but the theme of this was, 2018 was how traumatized and how much of a shut-in Laurie Strode was. In this movie, she moves into town, and it's completely a 180 from that. She goes, I'm not going to let this dude ruin my life. She's writing a book. She's out in town. Like, she's a different person as a character. But I think it was pretty – I didn't hate the ending. I didn't hate the final battle. I wish that it could have been a little bit more lit. This was at night, so it was dark. And I also wish that it could have had a couple more stalking scenes in the movie. But basically the movie ends with
the parade.
But Laurie Strode kills Michael Myers. She slits his throat. He has the scream moment where they're like, you got to shoot him in the head. They always
slits his throat, slices his wrists.
Slices his wrists. That's the scream moment I'm talking about. It's like, yep, you got to shoot him because they always come back. Gets up, grabs her by the throat. Allison comes back in. Pretty dramatic. slices his wrist and he bleeds out. And she goes, right before she cut his throat, she took his mask off. She goes, I used to think that you were just pure evil. She's like, you're just a man. And now you're going to bleed to death. And yeah, it was, I don't know. I had mixed feelings. It was cool, but it wasn't. It's realistic, which I appreciate. But the thing that I saw the most online that got the most thing is like, what happens next is they said, we've got to make sure. They tie Michael Myers' body to the top of their car, Allison and Laurie Strode, and they go back to the same junkyard we were talking about, which was Corey's father and his place of work. And they throw Michael Myers into basically an industrial-grade wood chipper. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I mean, it was gruesome. You know he's dead because he can't come back from that. But I didn't expect it to end that way. But I think that's where the closure will come from, at least from those two characters. And the movie ends with Laurie Strode finishing the book she was writing. And you see Michael Myers' mask in a well-lit sunny day in the middle of her office, which was kind of cool. Boom, roll credits, and Don't Fear the Reaper comes on. So I don't know, man. I'm indifferent about this film and how I feel about the plot. The kills were okay. Some good ones, some corny ones. The acting was really good in this movie. And I guess
where I went wrong with it is that it wasn't what I wanted it to be.
Nail on the head. So well said. And I'm not sure what I wanted it to be, but I know from the 2018 version, which was a lot of stalking and a lot of looking in the past and what's happened and gearing up for the anticipation of, we know Michael's going to come find her.
It felt like it stretched things out a little bit too much after Halloween Ends to fill another movie.
Well, I also do feel like, and Kyle West, our mutual friend on our football podcast, I really do feel like this could have been the middle film. It could have. I really do. Obviously, the ending wouldn't have been the same to lead into another, but I feel like this could have.
We could have skipped the whole story with the kid and just thrown this on at the end of Halloween Ends, and it would have been done.
Could have been it. You could have started with, okay, Michael got out, and there you could have the love story for that second film it going to the character of Corey or whatever. Jamie Lee almost kills Michael. He gets away. And then the third one be, him in hiding. And then the town takes over and kills him. I felt like that made more sense, where he slowly just gets beaten down to the point where the community comes out and kills him. But I mean, it's a creative film. It's a creative plot, but I just don't, it wasn't what I wanted it to be. Like you said, it's not at all what I expected. It's not what it was presented as in the trailer. And I feel like this is going to leave a lot of fans underwhelmed. I've seen some positive comments on Instagram and Facebook, but the overwhelming majority is this film sucks, and it left a lot of people pissed. I don't feel like this film sucks.
I was disappointed, but I don't think it was bad.
No, I think you and I have reviewed worse movies on this channel than Halloween Ends. But for it to have that weight and that name and that story pass, I think this was a letdown. And I'll say this too. From the 2018 film to Halloween Kills to Halloween Ends, I think they progressively get worse. I really like the direct sequel. Halloween Kills was all right. It was a little cheesy, death dies tonight or evil dies tonight, whatever.
Yeah.
This corny, but this one just kind of went all over the place. I'm sad to see probably no more Jamie Lee Curtis in these. Who knows if Andy Matichek will do something else to spin this off, but this is usually the part in the show where we do a number rating, and my heart goes to a 5. I mean, it was pretty average for me.
I don't even know if I can honestly, in good faith, rate this movie, because I did fall asleep for 15 minutes of it.
That's all you need to know.
And what was the worst is I woke up to my nephew standing over me.
That was scarier than the movie.
And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to poo-poo on this movie. I'm going to watch it again at some point. I'm going to watch all of these again at some point, just because I like that they did well, not even a reboot, but they did it so many years later. There was a lot of potential, but
it's so strange to almost close the door on a franchise when so many other franchises are trying to reboot or refresh their franchises. I mean, look at what Chucky's doing on USA right now. That show it's good, and it's just starting up season 2. Then we got the Hellraiser reboot.
Can't wait to review that with you. Yeah, but here's the thing. This is what's going to happen because we keep seeing this in the last 50 years. Is take the Batman series for example. We're just going to keep reinventing it with different actors, and you know what's going to happen. Same thing in horror movies. You're going to have a villain, and you're going to have maybe a martyr or something like that, and they're going to go at it. There's going to be people that die. I get.
How many times do we need to see the Wayne family die?
Oh my God. Yeah, too many. At this point, I need a little break from it. Especially after the Christopher Nolan film, I'm like, dude, that was it. That was the best one. Like, you got some Heath Ledger, you got some Tom Hardy. That's it. But
I'll catch a little bit of flack over this, but The Dark Knight is super overrated.
I can see that. I don't totally disagree with that either. I'll tell you what. This call this slander or what you want. I love Heath Ledger. I think he did a wonderful job on the Joker. But with his death right after, that probably helped out with the hype.
Yeah,
100%. Sure. Yeah. But with this film, man, like they're gonna do Halloween again. Like Rob Zombie did 2 Halloweens. He didn't have to.
No,
that's kind of his wheelhouse. But he didn't have to do these. Somebody
as long as he doesn't do any more monsters.
Yeah. I feel bad, man. He tries to make so much art for everyone, but everyone hates it. I mean, he's had a couple of bangers. Like I love 3 from Hell. I love The Devil's Rejects, but you can't do that with everything. And then I felt like with that, we're just off. We're not even talking about Halloween anymore, but everybody was, I saw a comment where it was like, I don't want him to take something like that and turn it into this bloody, rotten, redneck, grimy thing. And they're like, he made it like the TV show. They're like, he should have done the bloody, redneck, grimy, rotten thing with this. Like, and so he wasn't going to get this, even if he did it perfect.
No, there was no way he was going to come out of that and make everybody happy.
No. But to wrap it up, man, with Halloween, somebody's gonna redo it again in the future. I would put money on that.
Oh yeah, I mean it is the OG.
It's good. It's a good story. I really like what they did, with the original. And you don't notice this until you really study and look on YouTube.
Me being the Friday the 13th fan, I am. I mean, yeah. Friday the 13th only exists because the studio exec said Halloween made a lot of money and they didn't pay much to make it. So let's do that. That's the only reason Friday the 13th exists.
I can appreciate that too. They're going to do these again. Probably not with the same cast because they probably want to give it a rest. But I appreciate the attempt here. Like I said earlier, just if I had to sum it up, if you've seen all 3 or you've seen 2 and you're about to see the last one, I didn't think it could be worse than Halloween Kills, and it is. But it's definitely interesting, and it'll definitely make your mind think. So if there's a reason for you to go see this film, that's what I would say is go in with an open mind. Don't go in expecting.
I would say watch it on Peacock if you can.
Yeah. I did.
I know it's still in theaters, right?
Yeah. I mean, I went the first night it came out, and I enjoyed the experience, but I left pissed off. And I was like, I'm going to stream it. They wanted everyone to just be able to watch it immediately, however they wanted, which I really thought that was like pretty progressive of them. But
I mean, Peacock Premium's $5 a month. So, I mean, it's tough to pass up on that. You and your friends can watch Halloween Ends together.
Mm-hmm.
$5.
But yeah, underwhelming movie, but I'll watch it again at some point just because it's Halloween. But you guys stay tuned. I'm really excited. Adam and I have pretty much agreed on it. We're going to do the Hellraiser, the new reboot. So I remember these growing up. They scared the living shit out of me. And
I just rewatched them not too long ago.
Is this? So I have to ask because I've just heard that it's a reboot. Is this a series or is this actually 2 movies?
Well, Hellraiser, there's quite a few of them. I believe that all of them are on Peacock at the moment.
The new ones?
Yeah. No, okay. The old ones.
Oh, I've seen the old ones. I'm just talking about the new. Is it a new movie?
It's one movie.
Okay.
And it's like a reboot. It's a retelling of like how the Tesseract got its start on Earth, which is pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, we've agreed to do a review of that, and we'll try to get that done hopefully this week, man. I can't go tomorrow, but maybe this weekend we can do that. I've got to have surgery. I can't hear out of my left ear, so we're going to get this eardrum fixed.
For a musician, that can't be easy.
Man, it's frustrating. My eardrum is like redacted and lapsed, so they're just going to put a new tube in tomorrow morning, I guess. But Yeah, let's do that, man. Well, it's still Halloween month, and I want to get in at least one or
Lots
two
of
more
great horror on here too. Like I
So
said, I'm watching Dash Cam right after this.
I think the next thing, I'm not a big series guy, but I've seen the previews, and Netflix keeps telling me to watch this. The Watcher on Netflix is out, and I've heard some good things, so I'm going to give that a go and see if that's any good. But let's do Hellraiser next, man. We'll figure out a date, and
Sounds good.
whoever was in the chat, whether it's a Twitch bot or a YouTube bot or whatever, thanks for watching, because we've had somebody watching this whole time.
Yeah, our dating bots on YouTube, they love us.
Plug your stuff, man, and we'll wrap it up.
Just check me out on MN Viking Zombie at pretty much everything on social media. That's where you can find me. I'll be doing a lot more as soon as I start feeling a lot better. I mean, I'm working on it, getting myself back together to where I was. It might take a little bit, but in the meantime, reach out to me on Twitter if you got some ideas for movies to watch, or if you want to check me out on Twitch, which you can watch this right here, our movie reviews on Twitch. I also do gaming once in a while. We do our Purple People podcast, our Vikings podcast here as well. So lots of cool stuff. If you want to get in on the action, let us know. I do want to start streaming a little bit more on Twitch. I'm going to try to figure that out now that I've got a little bit better of a setup here going. We'll see how that works. But yeah, that's what I got going on.
Yep. Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. That's where you can find Adam's stuff. We're streaming live on your YouTube and Twitch channel right now.
Even on the TikTok, I got little videos of cats if you like cats.
I always forget to promote TikTok because I have my banners turned off my phone because I will fall into the rabbit hole in that app so quick. So I stay off of there. But Adam's everywhere. Check him out, support him, and yeah, we'll be back. Let's do Hellraiser next, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds good. All right, catch you guys later, and stay classy, horror fans.